All right, here we are. Hello, everybody. It's Gina, and with me on this wonderful episode of the Interdimensional Fellowship Club, which does not roll off the tongue very well. It's kind of a tongue twister, but is Tenesha Lewis.
Yes.
And she is a dreamer, a healer, a caretaker, a woman of many skills, and she's just an all-around awesome person. And she has a great YouTube channel called Dreamwalker, where she gives anecdotes and stories and tips on energy work, and just check it out. It's a great channel. It's really cool. So anyway, Tenesha, so what should we talk about today?
I think that we started off, having a great conversation before we started recording. And if we can just continue it on that, like I love talking about dreams. I know you mentioned that you're on your healing journey where you're creating your own platform right now. And I love that you're listening to your guides because a lot of us still don't.
Oh,
I have my moments. I'm not gonna lie.
my goodness. Well, like I said, I'm 47 now, and I feel like over half my life has been spent not listening to my guides and getting repeatedly smacked upside the head with the divine 2x4 in different instances. So I finally got wise and decided to start listening to them. So yeah, it turns out I'm a healer, and it sounds weird even saying it, but that's what I do. I got this gift from my guides one day, and they said that I've had it for a very long time, and I've been working with people for I think almost a year now, and it really helps with like soul retrieval. It even helps with physical stuff. I had a friend who has kidney stones, and we've helped break them down, and it's pretty incredible finding out how powerful you really are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. So tell me about what type of healer you are. Are you a Reiki healer? Because I know there's like a million different types. I don't know. I haven't gone too far into it.
Honestly, I don't even know. It's my own thing. I know it's partially channeled energy, but also I go into this state where my highest light kind of steps in and connects with the person that I'm working with's highest light.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy kind of has like its own intelligence almost, where some people feel it as like, bam, the hand of God comes down and throws you up against the wall. And other people are like, I didn't feel anything. But then they realize days later that huge shifts have happened in their reality. And so I wish I could give like a fancy description of what it is I do. But I was trained as a Reiki master, and I think I'm just a natural channeler because I can there's a lot of stuff that have kind of just spontaneously happened. Like, for instance, one night I was sitting around watching TV, and I thought of the number 852, and all of a sudden my whole body started vibrating. And I was like, well, what's going on here? What is this? And then I was like, all right, what about 172? And then it went lower, and I could feel my root chakra open up in my feet and my ankles and everything. And I'm like, okay, am I just a giant crystal? Is that what's happening? Am I just like, channeling in these frequencies and like blasting them out? And so I can, stuff like I can do that. But I think for the most part, what I'm aware of right now is channeling for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I can clear houses, buildings, pieces of land. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty cool gift.
It reminds me of grid work. Have you heard of that yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're all doing grid work. That's why I'm up here. That's one of the big reasons.
That's so interesting. I've been wanting to go to Mount Shasta recently. I had this really intense dream, and I'll tell you the short story of it. But I met two blonde seemingly alien. I'm pretty sure they're aliens. They didn't seem like they were humans. The way they moved was very robotic, and they
Mm.
were like giving me these expressions that didn't really meet their eyes. So they were both really, really blonde, elderly couple, I guess. They invited me in their cabin. I walked in. They're like, "Hello, Tanisha Lewis." They knew my name and everything. And they
Wait, was
pulled
this a
out.
dream or is this real?
This is a dream. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
they pull open this large map and they're like, "Tell me where the entrance is." And I'm like, "I don't know." And then I was like, "But I could probably figure it out." And in my mind, I'm thinking that. And then
Mhm.
something said no, and I'm like, "Okay, well, no, I don't know. I don't know." You know?
And they're
And they
like, "You do know.
gave
You know. You need
they
to
gave up.
remember."
Yeah, and that was basically the end of the dream, and, for the most part, and I woke up thinking, "Okay, I had so many questions. Who are these beings? What do they need from me? Blah, blah, blah." But anyways, that led me to looking into grid work. And I was like, maybe I need to go to Mount Shasta and do some grid work. And I'll just
Mhm.
start from there. And maybe the answers will come to me then.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that is so cool. So I had for about 6 months, I did a mentorship with this woman named Aisha Love, and she's just amazing, brilliant woman, and she's a very powerful grid worker and
mhm.
healer, and she's got her own company called Multidimensional You. And so during the course of working with her, I found out that the reason I moved up here to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan was to raise the frequency of the entire region. And so she was like, "Okay, well, you're supposed to go grid mapping." And I was like, "What's grid mapping? What does this mean?" She was like, "Just look at a map, look at all the different places that interest you in your area, and by going to these different places, and you'll just know what to do. You'll be able to connect each point in the region and therefore somehow raise the vibration of the entire region." So I did. I went to all these like different national and state parks that just kind of stood like, I was like, "Okay, I'll just go there. I'll go there." And I would drive there and I would just go and find like a place to sit down, or not even. Sometimes I just had to sit in my van because the bugs were so crazy. But I would I would get there, and the minute I got there, my whole body would just like burn something. Like something crazy was happening, and I would close my eyes and I would see one of my guides, and all I can see are his eyes. And I would tell him, I'd be like, "Okay, am I done yet? If I'm done, wink." And I would wait until he winked, and then like, "All right, I guess I'm done." And yeah, it was pretty
That's
incredible. But
amazing.
yeah, it was pretty cool. So I was able to do that, and I was like, "Holy crap! I can't believe I'm this powerful. It's amazing." Yeah,
It's, I'll be honest with you, I still haven't like let it sink in for me. Like I still don't like I'm in
me
imposter
neither.
syndrome. I don't I'm like, okay, well, I'm a very strong clairvoyant. That's great.
Oh, cool.
But I feel like I'm waiting for something else. Like I feel like I'm not really allowing myself to sit in that.
Hmm.
And when you were telling your story, I'm just like, that's amazing. I feel like she's not excited enough because that's amazing. Like what you just did, what you just explained.
You do it too, though. We all. I mean,
Yeah, we do.
I think most of us who are here at this time are
Mhm.
are doing some sort of like grid work or transmuting density, or transmuting like collective ancestral lines. I think almost all of us are here on cleanup duty right
Yes,
now.
absolutely.
So
It's the
yeah,
time for it for sure.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm
So
Aquarius too.
what?
I
So what's
wasn't
the
gonna
deal with
mention
your clairvoyant stuff?
it. Okay, so I could talk about that. All right, let's see. Where am I going to start with that one? How much do you want to know? Like, what do you want to know about it?
I want to know it all.
All? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Why not?
So, I realized I was clairvoyant only a couple years ago, but it started when I would say, probably really young. I just didn't know it was clairvoyance. I would see orbs in my bedroom, mainly after my
Mm.
grandmother died, and that was at 9 years old. And I would say about maybe was it the age of 19? I was doing third shift security overnight, and I was walking across the parking lot, and I started seeing these whiffs of smoke appear and disappear. It looked like
Hmm.
smoke, at least. It was actually
Yeah.
apparently ancient spirits, is what I've learned. I don't really know yet. Um, Other than that, my entire life, when people speak, I see a movie playing behind my eyes. Like I could see what they're talking about happening. I thought everyone could see that, mind you. I thought everyone could see that until a couple years ago. And then I
Oh,
started learning,
really?
yeah, I really did think that. And I started explaining to the people that I'm speaking to what I'm seeing as they're speaking to me. And they were able to confirm what I was seeing. And I'm like, that's interesting. So what is that called? And I learned clairvoyant. And I learned the voices that I hear sometimes is clairaudience and so on and so forth. So that's like the overall version. And now I use it in my everyday as opposed to trying to create a whole business around it. I just make it a
Hmm.
small part of my business and a large part of my relationships with people if they allow me to tell them what I see. So.
Mm, I see. Um, have you ever seen just a random thing like while you're at the grocery store or something with people?
So, not necessarily, no. Whenever most recently, I actually don't really know how to explain this, but I've had more feeling than I do my clairvoyance. It's more of
Ah,
it's so hard for me to explain. It's almost like feeling that the people around me aren't really there. Like they're there, yes, like physically, but it's almost like their astral selves are look it looks different, or
mm,
it's portraying something different from what I'm seeing. And it's almost considered to seeing someone's aura, but I would say it's more seeing the truth of who they are as opposed to
mm,
their aura. And at first, I was like, aliens. Immediately, I was just like, you guys are all aliens, or NPCs and stuff. And then I
right.
realized that that's a very negative way of looking at it. What if I'm actually seeing their potential or their purpose in this life? What if I'm
Yeah.
seeing past lives? What if I'm seeing their higher selves? I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting.
Wow. That is so crazy.
One day I'll
I
get
know.
the answer.
What's that?
I said one day I'll get the answer. I haven't even asked yet, by the way. I just kind of like let it be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's much better to just let it develop organically than to
Yeah.
try to force anything.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I always feel like, well, they always say that it's like clairaudience and clairvoyance that are like, the sexy clairs. But I don't really. I mean, I definitely see a ton of stuff. It's mostly for me. It's like light ships
Hmm.
and like I'll see like plasma. I've seen plasma beings a couple of times float over my house and
What?
orbs, lots of orbs.
Hmm.
But I think when I was a kid, I was so terrified of ghosts that I don't know if I would. Maybe I've trained my body and my mind into not wanting to see them. I
I
don't
did
know.
that. I did that too. For some reason, my mom let us watch horror movies, and I'm
Oh, I
talking
was
about,
loved horror movies when I was a
yeah,
kid.
I loved them,
Can't
but
stand them now.
now because we know the truth, and it's just it's comical stuff, anyways. But when we were younger, unfortunately, we had a very black and white view of what's good and what's bad
Yeah.
because of the entertainment industry. So I was watching Hellraiser. I was watching
Ugh.
Trilogy of Terror, like things that I can't even
Oh,
really
yeah. Oh, I
like.
remember that one with the little doll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
That
Tzatziki
one's
doll or whatever.
yeah, that one scared the crap out of me. Oh my
Zuni doll.
gosh.
Oh my gosh, that gave me the craziest nightmares. I actually got rid of all my dolls because I thought they were going to come alive like the
Yeah.
Zuni doll. So,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
but yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, I feel like that's kind of a good segue into
Yeah.
like the subject that we were talking about earlier, which is self love and acceptance, and
Yes.
how it starts in the womb. I really do. I feel like it starts in the womb. It starts with the ancestral lines, it starts with your mother's body chemistry, it starts with her experiences and epigenetics and like what comes down the family lines. and especially the parents' attitudes. And I feel like it doesn't even matter if it's conscious or not. I mean, no parent really wants to hand down all that junk to their kids,
Mhm.
but it happens. And then on top of that, you have TV, you have like 80s love ballads, which I listened to as a kid. And I feel that totally warped my view of relationships. We're like the John Hughes movies and 80s love ballads.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then you end up at some point in the middle of your life and you realize you're carrying this gigantic bag of crap and you don't know how to love yourself. And so I feel like that's the journey for a lot of us right now. So,
It is, absolutely. I think that my story began with self-love when I realized that I was hiding myself from the truth of my relationship, knowing that I was comfortably numb, I was taking care of someone, so I didn't have to take care of myself. And when I realized that, when this is coming to the end of this relationship, I have no choice but to look at myself in the mirror and only see myself instead of seeing myself in my partner, you know? So when you're kind of forced to do that in a way, even if you're the one that started the momentum, then you have a chance to kind of like, how would I say it? Recreate yourself in a way, figure out who I want to be now, who is Tanisha. And in doing that, everything else that you've pushed in your subconscious kind of starts coming back up, and you work on that so that you can redefine who you want to be. Because for me personally, I believe self-love has so much to do with not, I wouldn't say personality for the most part. I would say it has a lot to do with the image that we create for ourselves. So our ego, um, and this is the good side of the ego, because the ego can come in handy a lot of the times. It's not something that's
it's
super
not a
negative.
throwaway.
No, it's not really. So it's like I use my ego whenever I really want to remind myself who I am, and it's a way of manifesting too. I want to be this badass goddess, but this badass goddess doesn't hide from her problems, that she doesn't get in relationships that she doesn't need to be getting into. She's
Right.
able to look at herself in the mirror and say, I love you, you're beautiful. So
Yeah. I was just talking to my partner earlier today about what I wanted the subject to be. And I did kind of just start blurting out all this stuff that I never really intended on telling them. Just that, like I've recently realized that more than half my life I've gone around really just carrying so much self-loathing and body dysmorphia. And yeah, a lot of it was completely unconscious. I mean, some of it was totally conscious. I knew it. I'd look at myself in the mirror and be like, ugh, you need to lose a lot of weight. Or or just it sucks to say, but like the normal stuff that people say about themselves.
mhm.
And how realizing that needs to change. That's part of why we're here. We're supposed to learn how to love ourselves, love our neighbors, accept ourselves, accept our neighbors, and learn how to work together.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's easier said than done. So um, I was wondering if you could share some of the ways that you practice, like curating this self-love for yourself.
Oh, the first thing I had to do was, this is part of reframing your mindset, but the first thing I had to do was teach myself a new language. I
Mm.
had to formulate new words for myself because, and I can't stand admitting this, when I was younger, whenever I became frustrated with something, I would say, Tanisha, you're stupid. I can't believe you can't do
Yeah.
it. And I would say it in my mind, never say it out loud, but it was enough. It's enough. Tanisha, I can't believe you can't finish this project, or you're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. All these negative things. It wasn't until I realized that those were affecting the way that I viewed myself, and I was able to kind of recreate my own way of speaking to myself, did everything else fall into place. So that was the first thing, was creating my own language. And even if I didn't believe it, I would say, Tanisha, you're amazing. Of course you don't know how to do this. You need a little bit of help. And it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
So,
Fake
so
it till you make it.
yeah, exactly. Fake until you make it. And then it became actually challenging myself to look at myself in the mirror and say, Tanisha, you are X, Y, and Z. You know, and this is called mirror work. Or what is it? There's a couple of other terms for it, but I don't remember right now. But I call it mirror work. And it's simply kind of coming to the altar naked in a way. You know, you look at yourself in the mirror. I like to be completely naked because
Mhm.
it's a challenge. You know, some people can't do that. But
Right.
if you're at that point and you really want that challenge, then you go to the altar naked and you look at yourself and you say different affirmations based off of what you struggle with.
Mm.
So that's the second thing. I would say the third thing is knowing that I am worthy, like believing it, truly believing that I'm worthy to have anything that I want in this life. And and that was pretty much it. You know, once I'm able to kind of touch those three things and then create a sort of, I don't know, I don't want to call it a guide, but create sort of a platform for myself to start from, you know, or a foundation,
Mm.
it just becomes easier.
Yeah. Do you have like a daily practice that you stick to, or?
I do actually. I don't stick to it, but I have a practice.
I know, man. It's hard for me too sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, it really is because I use it when I need to. When I notice that I'm
Mhm.
starting to become dysregulated is when I um, jump into the mirror, literally. And
Yeah.
let's see, the main thing that I focus on the most is what I say to myself. I would say that's at the
Yeah.
very top, because I do have an internal dialogue and I'm constantly talking to myself, constantly talking to other people because I am genuinely interested in other people's lives. And in doing that, I'm able to kind of squeeze in, hey, I do this and I can help you. And I am confident that I can do these things. And I'm able to kind of squeeze in some really positive affirmations for myself when I'm doing that for other people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're speaking spells. That's
Yep.
what it is. That's
Mhm.
exactly what that is. And the more that you speak it out loud and the more you mean it, it
The more
really
you-
does start to change your reality. I mean,
Yep.
it changes your mindset first, but then you notice that people around you start acting differently. I've noticed with my partner, when we first met, we were both very, very kind of sarcastic and snarky and
Mhm.
workaholics. And I had nothing to do with the woo woo. I was completely against all of that stuff. I thought it was just the corniest stuff ever. But then obviously all of that changed.
Mhm.
And my partner, she's come, we're working together, but she's her own person as well.
Mhm.
So it's like she'll say something very like sarcastic or something, and I'll just be like, you're speaking spells. Like this stuff, it's not a joke. Like
No, it's
don't
not. I don't
it's
play around anymore. Nope.
yeah. I'm like, you need to watch what you say
You
and you need
do.
to watch what you think about yourself because this stuff really does affect everything. It really affects your life. And she's come so far. It's not like I don't feel like I like I'm carrying her on my back with me, helping her raise her vibrations or anything. She's her own person. But I have noticed subtle differences. Like I was never able to talk openly about all of the like light ships that I would see, and that's how it started. We were on a vacation, and we rented an Airbnb off of Lake Michigan, and one night I saw this giant orb and a big ship go over, and I was alone outside, and I it blew my mind. Like it turned everything upside down, and I just walked in the house and didn't say a word. I didn't say anything. And it continued happening when we were living in Detroit. It followed me, the phenomenon, and I started to
Mhm.
see orbs all over the place and ships and all this stuff. And I finally had to have this epiphany, and I kind of broke down with my partner, and I was like, this is what I'm seeing. And if you think I'm nuts, I don't know what we're going to do about it. But this is what's happening.
Mhm.
And I was so convinced. I had convinced myself that she was going to leave me. She was going to, we were going to get a divorce or whatever. And she was very supportive, and it's just gotten better. So I feel like,
Amazing.
yeah, it works. It works. Sometimes you're supposed to just, break it off
Hmm.
and start new. But sometimes I feel like the person is very much your divine complement, and
Yes. I
that's your
love that.
job. Like, your job is to work with them, and
Hmm.
that's part of your contract. So,
Absolutely. He's
yeah.
definitely my ex is definitely part of my contract. I didn't realize
Mm.
how dark it got in my office.
Oh, yeah, it did. Oh.
Right? It's crazy. But I'm gonna have to probably go turn a light on a little bit. I'm not, do you
Oh,
edit
yeah.
these videos?
Nah, I don't care. You want me to
Okay.
pause it?
If you
Here,
don't
I'll
mind.
just pause it. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We're back.
We're back.
And I totally don't remember what we were talking about, but yeah. Self-love.
Self-love. No, I love it though. I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. I still have my moments where I'll see myself on camera in a different position. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Remind me to never make
Yeah.
that face again.
Yeah. I know, seeing yourself on video it's a humbling experience.
It really is. Oh my goodness. But
Yeah.
I'm appreciating the experience. I'm appreciating just being alive. I was just talking about that to someone last night. And speaking of contrast, I think you brought up contrast at some point with your
Hmm.
partner. I met someone who is the complete opposite of me. He even told me that he doesn't believe in thinking about consciousness too much because it freaks him out. And I'm like,
Oh.
wow, if you only realize how completely opposite that is from me. Like, I love talking about this stuff. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
my entire being. Um, but in that moment, I was like, you know what? I want to chat with him, not because I want to change his mind, but because I want to know how he's thinking and where that fear comes from, because that's going to teach me something. There's millions of people out there that are too afraid to look up because they're afraid they're
Yep.
going to see something they don't recognize. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
you know,
I've uh I've actually pointed out ships to my wife, and she's, it's like right in our backyard blinking at us, and she's like, "Oh, it's got to be a satellite." And I'm like, "What?
it's like, did you see that?
It's a giant triangle in our backyard. You think that's a satellite? What?"
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's yeah, people are very afraid,
Hmm.
and that's part of the whole deal, is that we come in with all of this ancestral fear, from our mother-daughter line, father-daughter line, whatever. All this fear, all this anger, all this guilt, shame, and that's our job, is to transmute it. And therefore we raise the vibration of, like, our family lines, and that goes all the way back too. I mean, the time makes no difference. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter if the people are still around or not. You're changing it for everyone in your family line. And yeah, I mean, that's what we're here to do, and that's what I've been learning about lately, is transmuting density from ancestral lines. And that's been I have some stories about that I could tell you if you'd like to hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please.
Well, for me, I get these, like, I mean, I have, weird dreams too, but I'll be deep in meditation, and all of a sudden, like, this kind of spontaneous soul retrieval starts happening, where um, I'll start remembering a certain life or a certain experience or something, and I'll be like, okay, you can come back. I love you. You can come back, this aspect, speaking to this aspect. And for example, one time I've been doing this thing where I can open up all of my subtle bodies and clear them out. So I'll start with, like, I'll just say, open up physical body field, and it'll open up and I can feel stuff clearing out. And I'll go through, like, the physical, the etheric, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the divine. And I can feel the difference. Like there's the different fields have a different quality to them. And I got to the causal body and I asked it to open up and start clearing out. And I was deep in meditation and I heard a no. I actually heard it in my left ear. I heard no. And I saw in my third eye this old Ukrainian woman, and my mother's side is all very Ukrainian.
Mhm.
And she was like curled up in a fetal position. And after further sort of meditation and like talking to this I mean, it was an aspect of myself, but it was, in the family lines. And I kind of did this negotiation almost where I got her to open up and to kind of release and to integrate in with the rest of my body. And I had this intense hip pain for like, I don't know, 2 years on and off. I would have really, really bad my hips would just like ache, and I was going to the chiropractor and stuff. And after working with this aspect of myself, of my family line, I'm not quite sure, the pain went away. And so a lot of this stuff is just blocked, dense, stagnant energy from, could be other lifetimes, could be who knows what. But that's been a big part of what I've been doing lately, is kind of experimenting and learning more about my subtle bodies and transmuting. And then also I've been calling in the spirit of love and forgiveness and compassion. And I can feel the different frequencies kind of coming into my body and filling up all of these spaces that are left from transmuting this garbaggio. And yeah, it's been really interesting. So
That's amazing. I want to learn more about that, by the way. Maybe at the end we can.
yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about it. It's all just like intuitive. I don't even know how it happens. I'm just, all of a sudden I'm in the middle of this thing and I'm like, okay, I guess all these fractals are coming in.
That's
So
amazing. Okay, that's so. And this is why I love everyone's experiences, whether it be psychic or intuitive. Like it's always different. And when I first started strengthening my abilities, I would always ask other intuitives, like, how do you do it? In hopes that they would be able to teach me, but like they can't teach me because we're all different.
yeah.
There's a reason why I get a lot of my messages in my dreams. There's a reason why my guides visit me in my dreams, but there's also a reason why, like when I have, and I'm blanking on the name, clairaudient. When I have moments where I'm clairaudient, it's usually moments where like I'm having like in a very high stress environment, or I'm, struggling with something. So we all have different ways. And I love that when you meditate, you're able to kind of clear. I'm assuming you're using your clairvoyance to clear, or are you using just like feeling in general?
I have no idea. I don't know.
It's so interesting.
I just, I mean, I think my main, my strongest gift right now is clairsentience. So I can just kind of push out my energy and I can just push it out, or I can just ask it to leave, and I can feel stuff just kind of draining through my feet into the ground. Um,
When you
yeah, I
ask,
don't
do
know.
you ask in general? I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you ask
Oh
in
no.
general?
Well, sometimes I'll ask my body. I've been talking to my body's intelligence, which I've heard is also the etheric field, which is the closest subtle body to your physical. So it's like physical, etheric, emotional, mental, causal, spiritual, divine. And those are, I think, the main subtle bodies. There's probably more, but who knows? But I'll talk to my body's intelligence and ask it to open up. And then sometimes I call in my teams, my guides, my whoever, masters or whoever I'm working with at the time, and they'll help me too. I mean, they'll help me. They're a huge help. But sometimes I think it just depends on like what I want to practice on.
Mhm.
And speaking to your body is so important. So important. I believe in my heart that the body's intelligence kind of has its own consciousness, and it's kind of a partnership, right? It's because I've been in sessions with people where they're like, you are fighting your body so hard, and you really don't need to.
Mhm.
You have to work together. And when you're fighting your body, I think that's how a lot of disease, a lot of illness sort of happens. It's with
It happens in the spirit first, and then
discordance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you for saying that because I really needed to hear it. I've never spoken to my body.
oh,
I
really?
Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
would.
that's such a good self-love practice. Just like give yourself hugs. My
Yeah.
mentor was like, give yourself kisses on the hand, like kiss your nails. And I
This
was
is
like,
another
ew,
one. I
creepy.
rub my shoulders when I need that,
Yeah. Give
that
yourself
validation.
hugs.
Yeah.
Like hold your heart, feel. I
Mhm.
mean, not everybody is clairsentient or whatever, but sometimes you can feel that subtle energy in your
Mhm.
palm when you hover, like when you touch your chest, you can like feel your heart kind of open up.
That's true.
um yeah, I love it.
But I've
It
never
really felt really scratchy at first, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to do this.
kind of
Ugh,
cringe a
this
little
is
bit.
yeah, it was so cringy, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to talk to my body. Ugh, it should just do what I want it to do, but that's not how it works.
Yeah, yeah, I do know what you're talking about when you put your hand on your chest. I do
And you
that
can
whenever
feel
I
it.
start getting anxious, and this actually like calms you down a little bit. I forgot what it's called, but no, it's amazing. But I've never actually spoken to my body, and I'm definitely going to try that tonight. And
Yeah.
because I am right now, like I said, I'm on my self love journey, and also on a weight loss journey. And
Hmm.
I have this sort of disconnect, and I know it's from my mom, where I've learned to disconnect from the things that I eat, and also, um, when it comes to my emotions. Like I like to say, I'm an every emotional eater. So every emotion I have, I
Yeah.
just want something. So I'm working on that, but that's really interesting. And I don't remember what we were talking about before that, though.
Oh, I don't know. But what was it? Last night when I was
Mhm.
falling asleep. So what I usually do, my sleep protocol is I'll call in all of my like spirit doctors, my ascension medical technicians, because everybody's got a team.
Mhm.
Everybody's got a team that they work with. It doesn't matter who you are, everyone's got guides and teams and stuff. And I call them in every night, and I just think of something that I want to work on. And I'll just be like, okay, teams, my intention for tonight is to work on the mother wound, or to work on clearing out my pineal gland, or just work on childhood trauma, whatever stuff like that in dream time. And I can feel them coming in, and they're like, all right, we're getting to work. And last night I asked clear out to open up and clear out my spleen chakra, which um I don't know if everybody's got one. I'm not sure. I've heard different things, but I definitely have one. And I felt my whole spleen just like start buzzing and vibrating and spasming almost. It was crazy.
Mhm.
There was a lot of junk in there. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can call in your teams and ask to, you could work on like relationship stuff. You could be like, hey, teams, I want my highest light to work with so and so's highest light for resolution on conflicts. And
Yeah,
it's a really good way to try to work on stuff while you're dreaming, while you're
absolutely.
asleep.
It really is. So like I have like three different categories of people that I speak to, right? I
Hmm.
have my ancestors, my archangels, and then I have my spirit guide is what I usually talk to.
Hmm.
Specifically Archangel Michael is what I'm really connected to.
Hmm.
That's when I really want to get shit done, basically. Like I
Yeah.
know he's gonna do whatever I ask, and it's gonna be very exactly what I asked for. No gray area, black and white. So
He's
um
really good for protection when you're asleep as well.
yes, yes. And I've been working with him lately just to kind of get off my butt and get some things done that need to be done. And when I tell you he is helping me, oh my goodness. But I love that when we ask from certain guides or certain parts, factors in our spirit family, the way that they provide is so different, and I would say I've I was told recently that one of the people that I believe to be my guide is actually an entity that follows me around. That
Mhm.
feels like she has I wouldn't say control over my life, but she's been what's that word? She's been giving me advice when I don't ask for it, basically, when it comes to relationships. And she's
Mm.
an entity. She's not a spirit guide at all. She's just there thinking that she can control me. So I think that's interesting because I've never really heard of that before. Other than in horror movies, obviously, like, oh, there's a ghost following him, type stuff. But to
Yeah.
have an entity that believes that they're protecting you, so they latch themselves onto you, and you know, it's
Well, yeah, it's so interesting. When I so my whole awakening journey started with migraines, and I had migraines for like a good 10 years, and I was taking all these medications and doing Botox and MRIs and neurologists and all this stuff, and nothing. We couldn't really figure out what was going on until finally I was like, okay, maybe I'll try Reiki. I think it's, I don't believe in it. I think it's woo woo crap, but maybe it'll work. And I really don't like admitting that, but I really had like zero faith in energy or the universe or anything. It was like I chose a very, very extreme polarity life. But anyway, so I started getting Reiki, and that opened up my chakras, and the very first thing that started happening was the clairsentience kind of switched on. But I got about a week into meditating when all of a sudden in my mind's eye this giant bug eye popped into my awareness. It was the weirdest thing. And it was like uh just this eye, and it wouldn't leave me alone for years. Every time, and it's still every time I close my eyes, I'll see these two eyes, these two like big zeta reticuli sort of eyes. And I've gone between like trying to banish them and, like just been like, get out of here. I don't want you, go away. Thinking that it was like a negative spirit or entity or who knows
yeah.
what. But I finally found out that it's a teacher. It's one of my teachers. And once I embraced it
Mhm.
and started trying to communicate with it, I don't hear anything. I don't hear information, but
Mhm.
I'll like, it's funny. It'll wink at me or it'll blink at me for yes or no. So,
What? That's so
yeah.
cool.
So communicating that way has been super helpful. But I've learned from several healers, like very, very intuitive people, that it's kind of a neutral energy. It's very powerful. And I think it's an aspect of myself, but it's more on the neutral side.
Mhm.
So, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing because
No, not
it's
at all.
helped me in many scenarios. So,
Mm. Yeah, that's it's so interesting because when I first started seeing this guide, this entity, I guess, I named her Mabel because I thought she was a guide, and I would see her in my dreams first, and she was, tall Italian lady. Um, yeah, she had this long curly black hair, very traditionally Italian, meaning like she was a very like no holds bar, no BS. Like, what do you need, Tanisha? Tell me because I'm ready to get on with whatever I was doing before you showed up. You know?
right. Wow.
Yeah. So you're right. I really and I speak to her. I do speak to her, and I have for a while, but I haven't been able to decipher if she's providing a message to me or not, other than in my dreams. In my dreams, she's helped me, and that's really all I need to know about whether
Hmm.
she's good or bad or not. So that's just something you helped me remember that,
Hmm.
entity or not, she has been guiding me, which makes her a spirit guide. So,
Yeah. And you can also change out your guides. You can request that. You can be like, "Hey, I want my teams upgraded."
yeah.
I don't know why I close my eye because I'm pretending that I'm doing it, but you can ask for an upgrade for your guides, for your security teams. You have security teams too, and you can call them in when you're going to sleep, and they'll surround you and protect your light
Yeah.
body.
So let
So,
me ask you something about that, because I love the way that you are able to, um, I don't want to say decipher, but what's that word? I love that the way that you're able to kind of ask your guides for assistance, right? So
mhm.
do you go into certain things that most have struggled with? For example, like sleep paralysis. Have you asked your guide
Oh,
what sleep paralysis is, and have you gotten an answer?
I haven't. Um, I've only experienced it a couple of times. So I personally, I haven't really had an
Mhm.
issue with it. I know there's like a medical reason do you mean like the jerking sort of when
More
you're,
specifically, the part where people feel like they can't move, and then they usually see a dark figure
oh,
in the room.
dude, I totally saw that same crap when I was in my 20s. It
Mhm.
was so scary.
It came
Yeah.
up like just now, and I'm like, I gotta ask about this. I feel like I want to know
Does
her.
that happen? Has that happened to you?
It's only happened 2 times to me. Once was, like, very brief, and I was able to kinda snap out of it, but the first time, holy moly, the normal not being able to move, but to the left of my bed, oh, I'm getting chills. To the left of my bed, there was this little, I would say maybe 3-foot tall, figure of a boy
Hmm.
in all black silhouetted, like, I couldn't see any detail, just all black figure, and he was
Huh.
slowly standing up on the side of my bed on my left
Mhm.
side, and I'm like, "Listen, please stop, please, please," and I'm like, in
Yeah.
my mind, I'm telling them, "I just wanna get this over with, like, whatever you guys are doing, give me the message and leave me be, please."
Right. Right. Yeah, I don't I wonder if it's like one of those things where it's not necessarily like a negative thing just because it's in silhouette
I
and
don't think
it's
it is.
scary because we can't see what it is. It
Uh-huh.
could, I don't know, maybe it could just be a kid looking for help or something because you're very clairvoyant. So
Yeah. So I
that could be
asked my
it.
guides the other day, I asked them, I was like, what is it? And they told me that it's just spirits that are kind of playing around with us, because they know that scares the hell out of us.
Oh,
Spirits
yeah.
that
Well,
like just,
tricksters.
yeah, just kind of, they're like, you know what, I want to have some fun. So,
Yeah.
but what I go ahead.
Oh, just security teams. They'd
Yeah,
kick that kick that stuff to the curb.
absolutely. No, that's so true. That's true. So I don't know. Dreams are amazing though. I love it. I love being a dream walker, and I love embracing that. Um, just so you know, I haven't really embraced the name just yet. I feel like I'm missing something. When
Hmm.
you hear like a download and you want to move on it, you want to say, "I want to name my business after that," or "I'm going to get a
Right.
T-shirt or something," and then you realize you don't have all the pieces to the puzzle, so you have to wait for the information. It's like,
Yeah.
tell me.
Dream walker. I like it. I think it's
Mhm.
pretty cool. And that's a gift that I really want to develop. Um, I'm not exactly sure how though, besides getting like a dream journal, which, I've done it on and off. And yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be on it. Like you have to
Consistent, yeah.
continue.
It was tough for me for sure. I have 5 years, but it took me my oh my gosh, my first year is so bad. I don't even look at the notes that I put, because it's just all over the place, and you could tell that I have no structure. But now it's, if you want to have a solid dream journal that you can refer back to and actually get the answers that you need, you record
Mhm.
how you felt during the day, obviously the details of the dream, and then how you felt when you wake up. And you focus on the emotions as opposed
Mm.
to as opposed to the events, the actual chronological events that happen during the day. Because the emotions in the dream form what usually happens in your subconscious, if that makes any sense. So it's like a
Yeah.
three-step process. Yeah.
I feel like my and it's so basic, but like I have these weird dreams and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I watched this TV show that had a swan in it and then I dreamt about a swan." Like I feel like a lot of times my dreams are just like scripted straight from whatever TV
Yeah.
I was watching that night, which is not great. Not a good habit to be watching TV so late at night. But yeah, I have had some lucid dream experience. And I don't know if you know anything about this herb, but do you know what mugwort
Mhm.
is?
Yeah, I do.
I started drinking mugwort tea
Mhm.
mainly for my lymphatic system. And I started having really vivid dreams for a while when I
Yeah.
started drinking that stuff. So I think people use it for lucid dreaming.
Yeah, they do. They do. And there's even a specific strain of marijuana, which I don't remember the name of, but I can tell you a little bit later, that people are starting to infuse into edibles and drinks and things, and it enhances your dreams. And the reason why
Oh,
this is
okay.
so important is because marijuana usually does the complete opposite. You have dreams, but you forget them almost all
Yeah.
the time, as soon like right after you smoke. So let's see. And I wanted to go back to something that you said when you were watching TV before you went to bed and seeing a
Mm,
swan. It's like the emotion that you felt when you were seeing the swan on television. You probably don't remember, but your subconscious does, so that it
mm,
repeats it back to you in your dream because there's a
mm.
message in that, and it's
Oh,
beautiful. It's like, hey, oh, I see you watching this show. Let me recreate it for you so that you can get the message I was trying to give you.
huh. Wow,
Right?
that's
It's
cool.
it's so tricky.
So is part of your business like teaching people how to lucid dream, or is that kind of in your plan?
It's about to be. I think this confirms it.
Ah, well, you
It
should
has
change your
to.
name to Dream Walkers, and then you can be like,
Yes. It's
I
so
will dream.
funny because going back to like what I said about getting these downloads from spirit, sometimes we just kind of try to run with it. And I ran with it and I was just like, name my business this and get a tattoo and stuff. But in reality, my guys were telling me I was a dream walker probably. And just leave it
Mm,
at that, Tanisha.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I so my experience with opening up to the spiritual business
Mhm,
part of all this was really interesting. So yeah, so I was working with this mentor and we were doing deep shadow work for about 6 months.
mhm,
And then at the end of it, it was like, okay, you have these gifts. You're supposed to be a healer. This is like your life path. It's been confirmed by yourself, your guides, and all this stuff.
mhm.
And so go have fun, go run with it. And I was like, but I don't know how to do anything. I don't even know what I'm doing. And I really fell into some depression and like some self pity and just abandonment, all the shadow wounded motivation sort of stuff. And I went through all of that and kind of processed most of it. And then I was like, okay, I'll make some flyers. And so I made some flyers thinking that I could like put flyers up for free energy work and people would just love it and everybody would take one and it's like who would turn down free energy work, right? Like it's free energy work, of course. But I live in a small town and there's not a lot of that sort of stuff up here anyway. And so I put up all these flyers and I got like one or two people in like 3 months. Like nobody was responding to my really cool flyers. And the
Yeah.
ones that did were just like very, it almost felt like the energy that I put around those flyers was very like wounded motivational sort of energy, just like, oh, I'm doing this because I'm supposed to. It's not really what I want to do, and blah, blah, blah. And then also putting up the word free, I think kind of made people think or feel that it was kind of a throwaway sort of thing, like, oh, I could take it or leave it. And so I wasn't getting any responses. And yeah, like I said, the ones that did respond were like I had to turn some people away because it was very like serious mental illness going on or
Right.
just like addiction or just stuff I couldn't really help,
Right.
with like a free 20-minute session. So
Mm.
so yeah, I'm figuring out how to reformat all of that because I do want to start this, but it brings up a lot of like trust issues with humanity, which that was like, that came out of left field. I was like, what? Do I not want to help humanity? Like, what's going on here? And again, I was in like, I was in deep meditation, and I just started this mantra that was like, I forgive myself. I forgive humanity. And at first, I didn't really understand why I was doing it. But then all of these images started coming up, and it was so intense. It was like I was seeing myself within the collective, all of these like collective evils that like big stuff, like the Holocaust,
Mhm.
like World War II, like the Civil War, like all this like war and like gross misery that humanity has like inflicted upon itself. I could see like a big, like I would get a flash of like the Nazis, and then I would get a flash of myself looking at someone across the street and judging them. It was kind of like this like
Oh,
mirror sort of, and it just went on and on and on. And I felt like I was seeing myself in different lifetimes, or in this lifetime too, the ways that I would judge, the ways that I've hated people, the ways that I've been a glutton, or I've, just like really messed up stuff. But it was so healing at the same time. I just felt all of this like stagnant energy sort of lift. So that was,
yeah.
yeah, that happened like a couple of days ago. I feel like I should do it again.
That
And
is
that,
so interesting.
yeah, like
What
maybe doing that will help me with my trust in humanity. Like
absolutely.
seeing like, also it was like seeing Trump supporters at a rally, and then another flash to a Harris Waltz rally, and like how the different teams totally hate each other, and just all these different instances of our tribalism and our like ways that we kind of make ourselves feel separate. Yeah.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
so interesting, and the reason why that, like, completely just blew my mind is because for the last week or so, I've been looking at certain people, and I have an immediate negative comment that flashes through my mind, and I'm able to go
Mm,
back and correct it, and I'm like, "I don't know where this is coming from,
yep.
but I don't like it. I don't know who."
Collective. A lot of it's
Ooh,
collective stuff.
wow, that's amazing. Oh, thank you for mentioning that, and I do wanna
Yeah.
say this really quick with you, like, if this has ever been, this podcast for you has ever been something that you were wondering if you need to do it or wondering if this is your path, I mean, I can 100% tell you right now, like, this is it. This is so
This
helpful for
YouTube channel,
absolutely, yes. Yes. Oh my good you
talking
know
about Sasquatch. I love Sasquatch.
It's
Have I
only
told
been
you my experience with Sasquatch?
absolutely, but I do wanna just tell you again, like, the last 58 minutes has been so eye-opening for me,
Oh,
and that's
wow.
simply by
That's
you
awesome.
holding this platform and holding the space because
Hmm.
I have so much to journal right now when I get off this when I leave this meeting with you, oh my goodness.
Well, we can do this again. Let's do it
Yes,
again.
please. How
Yeah,
much
for
do you
sure.
charge? I'm just kidding.
No, no, you're super easy to talk to. It's great. Um, yeah, no, one of the reasons I was told to start this channel, it's called the Interdimensional Fellowship Club. And it's because I started having these experiences with a family of Sasquatch that live in my area. And it's funny, I can talk about UFOs until the cows come home. Like, that's no big deal to me. But once I mention like Sasquatch, I'm like, am I really talking about this? Okay. Um, so it started, so I was working with my mentor, and she has a very deep connection to the Sasquatch people. She's, out there doing tons of grid work and working with interdimensionals, working with the Fae, working with the little people. And these are all real. They're all real. Like, all of it's real. Mermaids are real. Loch Ness Monster is real.
Yeah.
They just exist in different
Dimensions.
frequencies. Yeah,
Yeah.
different dimensions. And so during my course of working with her, one night we were all sleeping, my family, and something banged on the roof so hard, it woke up the entire family. All the dogs were terrified well into the next day. Excuse me. It was a huge boom on the roof, and then it sounded like something was, like, rolling off,
Mhm.
like someone got dropped onto the roof. It was crazy. But, yeah, the dogs were totally spooked, and I was really curious. It didn't freak me out at the time. I was just like, "Whoa, that's really strange." So I emailed my friend, and, she was like, "It's the Sasquatch people. They have a message. They love you, and they want you to love yourself more." How awesome is that? Like, totally made me cry when I heard that. I was like, "Oh, I love them."
I didn't even
Because
know
I've
they
been
cared.
What's that?
I didn't even know they cared.
Oh, they definitely care. They care.
Interesting. I thought they were just
They're
focused on.
amazing people. Sorry, what was that?
No, I'm sorry. I know, like, it's kinda hard to hear, but, I was just gonna say that I kinda figured they were just more focused on hiding from us because of being human.
They Yeah, I mean, it depends on it, they vary, they're people too, so some don't
Exactly.
like us, but which is completely understandable, but they want to work with us.
Mhm,
And that's one of the reasons I was kind of prompted to start this channel, was to talk about them, because I
mhm,
started having these experiences with them. I started seeing footprints in the woods by my house. I had a physical experience. I saw one in the middle of the day in the woods cross a logging trail. And it was at first I heard telepathically, I heard turn around and look. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I looked down the road, and then this large black figure crossed. And, it was like 85 degrees outside. I don't think anyone would be wearing a full head to toe black outfit. It was definitely, and it was very large. Um, but yeah, I started having these telepathic experiences with them. They came in, they've given me healings. They've worked on my body, they've worked on my dogs,
mm,
and that's their message, is they want to work with us.
mhm,
We have to, because we're blowing everything up. Like, we're not life on Earth right now, the way that we're going is not sustainable. So they
mhm.
want to work with us, but they have to be careful about who they reach out to. So, so that's part of why I started this channel.
That
Let's
is
just talk about
so
that.
cool.
Yeah.
That's an amazing that's the first time I've ever heard anything like that. Usually when I see Yeah, because usually when I see Sasquatch information, it's usually some hunter that's like, "Oh my gosh, did you see it?" And,
Oh,
it's a
geez.
Sasquatch throwing rocks or something.
Yeah. Well, it it all depends on what your frequency is, what your intention is, and how you act out there when you're in the
Yeah.
woods. If you come out there, and the most important thing that the Sasquatch people have taught me is how to get into my inner child
Mhm,
more, how to connect with little G. um, I go out there and I like play with flowers, and I like bring a frisbee, and I'll play with my dogs, and like talk to plants and take pictures. And I have so much fun out there, because I can just imagine this like other kind of world that's just right there.
mhm.
It's just a frequency away. And yeah, it's incredible to be able to feel that kind of um that wonder and that joy and the innocence, and just being in awe of nature, because nature is the most incredible thing ever.
So beautiful. I
You know?
absolutely love I wake up and I look out my window because I have 2 windows on either side of my bed, and I just look at the grass and I'm like, "Thank you. Thank you so much for giving
Hmm.
me this view every morning," and I get a chance to see, like, just what I'm about to witness when I walk out my front door. Absolutely beautiful. So,
Oh, that's so cool. Are you in Florida? Is that where you live?
yeah, I'm in Florida.
Oof, hot.
It can be. It can definitely be hot. Like right now, we're at a very comfortable, 70, 72,
Hmm.
type weather. And then hopefully it'll get cold for a little bit. Hopefully, we hope for that here, because
Yeah.
our cold is still like 50, maybe
Yeah.
30s for 1 or 2 days the entire year. So
Have you ever been to Sarasota?
I have, yeah. I'm actually pretty close to it.
I heard that's it's like one of the cities of light.
Hmm. What does that mean?
Just kind of like a mecca for like spiritual new age
Ah,
people. I think it's like a power place, really. I think it's got some sort of
like a ley
it's like
line?
Sedona, how it's got that the juice, the energy.
Like a ley line?
I think I think so. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna
I
look
think
into
it's like I think it's on some major ley lines and I think there's like some crazy vortexes and stuff.
that. Okay.
I
I'm
would
I'm
love to
about like
visit.
okay, yeah, for sure. I'm gonna look into that because I'm actually not that far. And if that's the case, I'll be there like every day. But I live 15 minutes away from Casadega. Have you heard of Casadega before?
No, what's that?
Okay, that place is like apparently the most spiritual place in the world, but it's really probably just Florida.
Yeah.
So it's basically just an intersection of four different streets. It's not a lot, centered with a hotel, and the hotel's really haunted. The land's haunted. It's a lot of Native
Ugh.
American, uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Native American stuff. What else? And there's something else too with history that I don't remember, but a lot of people fly there from like all around the world, and they either experience things or they don't. And I think unfortunately, like, a lot of people come and they expect like this massive town with ghosts on every corner, and but really, it's a very small city with psychics, a lot of psychics and clairvoyance,
Oh,
and
okay.
a lot of spiritual. Like you can feel it. The energy is really intense there. Um,
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of like that up here too. Like, what I mean, not as many psychics and stuff like that, but there are definitely very strong vortexes up here.
mhm,
I've dri- I've had to like stop driving my van on some country roads because my body was vibrating so much, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I like want to get my little dowsing rods or something, try to find some of these vortexes. But I remember crossing the Mackinac Bridge. That bridge is the lower part of the state to the UP, and there's just something about something changes. The something shifts when you cross
mhm.
that bridge, and it's like everything is just. It smells better. It's beautiful. It's such a magical place. I'm so fortunate to be able to live here. It's incredible.
Yeah,
So,
especially the reason why you chose it, and the whole goal, your intention for it. I think it's amazing because I would love to do that. I want to travel, and I'm building myself up right now to be able to help others so that I can do that, and
hmm.
maybe do my own grid work.
Oh, you're doing it all the time.
Am I?
Yeah. Yeah, of course you are. I really thought, and I think it just depends on your level of awareness on the grid work of like what you're doing.
Mhm,
But if you go to a different, like I remember I would drive an hour away or, go half an hour out of my town when we
mhm.
first moved here. And I would get really dizzy and have all these weird headaches and stuff every time. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I found out later it's because you're transferring codes and you're just not you're just not aware of it.
That's so
So,
interesting. Yeah, so I felt that. I thought it was car sickness.
mm.
Okay, I guess I have to drive all the time because I feel really sick back here. That's so interesting. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start. I have so many notes to take. I'm trying to just like,
Well,
you
we'll
know,
talk. We'll talk after this. I guess
file this in my
probably. Do you think we should end it? We're at like an hour and 9 minutes.
yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and end it because we're gonna have many more of these conversations where we could talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, I feel like it too.
yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, I thank you all for watching. If you made it to an hour and 9 minutes, congrats! Like that's awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll have another episode soon. Bye.
I think you
All
already ended
right.
it though. I forgot to wave. Oh well.